Today is the day we are going to harvest our container grown potatoes. We do grow them in black totes like what you'd get from Home Depot or any other kind of department store. And we also have grown this year one blue, well, it's not even a blue barrel actually. It's a white barrel. So we've grown one. It was just kind of some rogue potatoes that we had left over. We believe they're our blue skin variety. We'll see when we pull these up. But we're going to start with this barrel. It was planted last, so let's see what we can get kind of out of this. And then we'll move on to our black buckets and see how they did this year. Because last year we were a bit disappointed with our black bucket harvest, which is why this year we went to the majority of our potatoes being grown in ground. So that's why we're kind of harvesting our buckets first, see what we got from those, and then we'll take you on the wild ride of harvesting the potatoes from the ground. So they are definitely our blue skinned variety. These ones are white in the middle. Little potatoes so far, but this is only what's coming out with the plant.
Oh, you got one more on there.
Oh, I missed a bigger one. That's almost like a fingerling. Purple one. That's a nice, decent guy. Ideally, I would have thought you'd want your potato to have skin like that. Nice, glossy, no damage. But you can see quite a few of them are coming out like this with this kind of, it looks like scaly.
That might be a type of potato scab.
Yeah, so...
Still completely edible.
Yeah, but you'd want to save these kind for your next year's seed potato.
Oh, a bunch on that one.
The blue barrels are really nice for just having something to kind of throw some odds and ends in.
You can basically
look at that one. That's a bit better.
That's a good one. You can see what we did here. We basically put the potatoes in and kind of mulched on top of them.
Oh, there's quite a few. Oh, a mouse! Our cats aren't doing their job. Sorry, mouse.
He probably can't get out of there.
There's two mice! A mom and a baby! Well, how's that for exciting? Now what do I do? She's terrified.
Well, we'll put a stick in so she can get out.
My mice haven't come back. They've gone down deep. Get away from me. Holy cow. I can't believe how many are in here. The blue barrels work well.
Now another thing, they might have been a little scabby on the outside because of the organic matter in here.
Oh yeah, too much
this
manure.
Was a bit, yeah. It's a possibility.
I think. Oh, spoke too soon. Do you remember what we actually put in here for potatoes? So far I've found 4 seed potatoes.
I don't exactly. It wasn't that many.
This is where we need to start better record keeping on. Oh, there's another one. So there's 5 seed potatoes.
I think a lot of these were very small ones too.
Yeah, the little guys that we were like, if they do something.
Hey, mouse.
Do you want out, bud? Here, come here. Although they probably got a home down there. They won't like coming out either. I'll have to leave a stick in here for them. There's another seed potato, so that's 6. Like I say, we put a bunch of little ones in here because it was just kind of to use them up sort of thing. But I'm going to say we're pretty much there. Oh, sorry, mouse. I see a mouse. Look at, oh, there's a little mouse. I'm so cute. There you go. Sorry, I've taken you away from your family. There's another, oh no, that's a leaf. It's not a sweet potato at all. Okay, we might be there. Little mouse is just going to hang out in the stevia beside us. That's hilarious. So like I say, I think I've pulled out 6 seed potatoes. That seems to be it. And I think that's, other than some really tiny little guys, which I'm not really going to worry about.
So here's the haul from this barrel so far. So not bad. Well,
considering that was just kind of all our little scrap bits, we weren't even...
That was just, we didn't want to waste some of those seed potatoes, and they were little ones. So not a bad haul from this barrel. So the next part
All right, so we're on to our bucket harvest from our black buckets. We've pulled one out from right there. It was quite heavy.
Debating whether we may have to start our squash harvest before we can actually complete this. But
Yes, the squash have really taken over in here, and we kind of are trying to be careful not to damage anything as we pull these buckets out, but it's like that cluster right there, there's a big bucket underneath there, so we need to move it somehow. As you can see, there's lots of big squash as well, yay! But that's not what this video is about, is it, Christopher?
no, we are harvesting potatoes.
Potatoes from containers. Now, we're pretty sure these ones, I think, are going to be fingerlings.
I believe so. Here are potato fruit. It just happened to be nicely sitting on top of the bucket. So I might have actually put them to the side. Obviously, you don't want to consume these. It's not like a tomato that you can eat it. My understanding is
They make you
My
sick.
understanding is yes, they're quite poisonous, but you can propagate potatoes from it. So even though we do have other varieties, and there's a pretty good chance they've crossed with something else, it may be an interesting experiment, because obviously we can keep our other varieties going by cloning the tubers. So this could be an interesting experiment.
See what we get.
Yeah, can't hurt to try.
They're going to be blue fingerlings.
Potentially.
So we've got our bucket emptied from our first harvest on our
Yes.
barrels. We ended up with 2 pounds 11 ounces from that first blue barrel, which again, I'm hoping to see more than that from these black buckets, but that was decent for a last minute thrown together kind of barrel of seed potatoes. So,
Oh, apparently these are blue.
oh, these are the blue ones, okay.
One. Just gonna take this off because we will add that back to a garden afterwards. And we had some rain, so it's actually, there's another one. These are actually looking pretty good so far. And the few
Yeah.
that I've seen come up.
The ones in the blue barrel, I think we went too heavy with the manure, which has caused a bit of a scab. So, still okay for eating, but maybe not for saving seed potato or cloning. But it'll be interesting to see what we get out of these this year, because last year, and we can link last year's bucket harvest, there's a seed potato there.
We did okay.
We did all right, but wanted
Everything-
better.
Anything that grows is beneficial,
Yes.
but it's trying to figure out, to a point, growing things more efficiently to still get your harvest, I guess.
Well, the one thing we did differently this year is we put a lot of dirt in. Oh, look at those beauties.
They're a lot better than last year's barrel ones.
Yeah. Last year we learned that the potatoes like to, in the blue barrels, just plant them, don't try and fill on top after, because it was not beneficial for
Well,
what we had.
another difference before I get really into this between this year and last year, we didn't mulch them like we did this year. So this year we mulched all of the potatoes. Everything got a layer of hay/straw. And I think that really, well, I can feel it in this soil. That really helped keep the moisture in. Like you can see it. Now we've had some rain, but I know this is dry over here, but really that kept it quite moist. And I think that was part of our dilemma last year. We had a very dry summer, which was of course different from this year where we had quite a wet summer. And
A wet early summer, then it got really dry.
yeah, but I think this, between that and potentially the shading from the
Squash.
squash, would have helped keep moisture in. And now I get to dig in
The
here.
fun begins. The one thing that is nice about the potato buckets, as opposed to in the ground, is the dirt stays so nice and workable. The shading also, though, from the squash may have been detrimental in some ways, because these plants died back way faster than any of our other potato plants.
Yes, that's very true.
So you wouldn't have got as much production. We're getting really nice potatoes. So we're pretty sure that we got to the end of the potatoes in the bucket. So Chris is just transferring that now to bulk out these blue barrels. We'll get this emptied out, then we'll go and weigh what we got in our bucket from our first black bucket of potatoes. So, oh, our sun damaged bucket. So there was number 2. So our first blue barrel container here, you can see they were a lot littler, but this guy was planted quite a bit later than these ones. So we got 2 pounds 11 ounces from our first bucket. And then our second one, you can see this was the black bucket harvest. We got much nicer potatoes, very little of the scab, but like you said, that one was more dirt than manure, where the other one had a lot more manure type product. But anyways, we ended up with 3 pounds 10 ounces, so almost an extra pound, and we're pretty sure we actually used 8 seed potatoes in both. In total so far, we've got about 11 and a half, or 11, I wish, 6.5 pounds so far out of our 2 barrels. So let's keep going. All right, so there's from our second black bucket. So this is a blue barrel and 2 buckets in total for our blue skinned potato variety. And the second black bucket, we got 3 pounds 1 ounce, so almost a half pound less potatoes out of it. Again, some nice sized ones, but all in all, I don't know. So far,
it's still food.
It's still food. So far, we're just under 10 pounds. So we are moving on to black bucket number 3. This one here is, well, the last 3 are going to be our Austrian crescent fingerlings. We know these ones to be quite prolific, so I'm very curious to see how they've done in the black totes this year, because last year they produced amazing for us. So without further ado, let's pull one of these plants and see what you can find for us. Who doesn't love a good potato bucket harvest? Especially with these fingerlings, I'm super excited.
They're a smaller variety, but they're very prolific.
Yes. And again, we're just transferring this dirt out into a different bucket as we go, so that we can then repurpose that for some of our fall crops to go in the greenhouse. Oh, I'm betting we'll definitely hit the 3 pounds that we've been hitting with the other ones. Normally we do about 8 seed potatoes in these, but I have a feeling the fingerling ones we went with 10, because we had a ton of seed potato.
We may have overcrowded them.
First bucket of fingerlings. It's food. We got about 1 pound 14 ounces, so not quite 2 pounds out of it. We're going to go back and see what we get from the next 2. But we did notice they were very, very shaded by the squash. And as you can see, we got a couple decent sized ones, but a lot of them are just little guys. I think they probably just lack the sunlight and whatnot. And as we said, the plants died off really early because of the shade, I'm sure, from the squash. So learning curves for us on that. These buckets do much better if they're out in the open where they can get the light and really get a chance to thrive. But we're going to head on to back to the patch, get the next bucket, and see what we can do. Bucket number 2 emptied. I'll put it over here. We had 2 pound 3 ounces, so basically 2 1/4 pounds out of that bucket of the fingerlings again. We're getting a nice little collection here. I mean, I think we're going to break the 15 pound mark on our buckets, but let's get on to bucket number 3 and get a final tally. Tally's in, last bucket picked, harvested. So we ended up doing 6 buckets, including the blue barrel. So we had 3 that were our blue skin potato and 3 that were fingerlings. And to be honest, our last bucket here, we got 2 pound 4 ounces. So really we're kind of breaking the 15 pounds, which I think, you know, all in all, it's good. It's food. It's certainly a lot more than we put in, but we've both kind of commented that, you know, for the work and the effort involved, we definitely think that there's going to be a lot more harvested from the ground potatoes than there was the buckets. It'll be interesting to see and watch for that video coming up. But, certainly the buckets are still worth it if you want to have early season or late season potatoes. That's one of the things. We follow kind of that rule of not planting in ground until after the full moon in June. Chris did a video on that, which we'll link kind of in one of these corners here. When you're doing that, it's like this year, for example, we didn't get our in-ground planted until almost the end of June. So it's nice to have the buckets planted earlier in the season so that you don't have to worry about all the bugs or anything like that that could cause an issue. So we're still going to move forward with the buckets. We've got all these black buckets and we're going to store them and use them for other purposes over the winter, and potentially come back and try and start some early spring potatoes and see how the results develop on that. So stay tuned for that one.